Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far, and welcome to today's video, which is a collaboration with one of my favorite people on the platform, the glorious Gemma from Pampered Wolf. I absolutely love Gemma. I adore her channel. She's just so knowledgeable, especially when it comes to skincare. Being a professional, she is just amazing with her hints and tips, and she recommends incredible products. She also often has her amazing mum on her channel, which is so helpful if you have more mature skin and you want to see how products work on someone who has a more mature skin or who is closer to you in age. If you are a bit older than myself or Gemma, you can also see how foundations and concealers wear on someone that little bit more mature. It's just so helpful to see, and they just have a wonderful dynamic. I love Gemma. She's just such a lovely, caring, kind person. She's been such an amazing supportive friend here on YouTube and just in general. We are always trying to help each other out, trying to navigate through this crazy YouTube world, and she's always the first to help me if I get stuck. So please go and check Gemma's channel out. You will not be disappointed. If you don't already know Gemma, then hot foot it over there and watch her video after you're done here, of course. Don't be skipping out early. But we decided to collaborate on our spring favorites because spring, I just love spring. It's like it's my favorite season. I'm just going to say it there. Is it? It's very hard to choose a favorite season. I think autumn is the only one that's rubbish, useless. It's neither here nor there. What's the point of it? You know, winter, there's Christmas. So, you know, that's a bit of a slightly unfair advantage, isn't it? And then it also has my birthday, my son's birthday. You know, there's lots going for winter. Summer, glorious sunshine, summer holidays, loads of extra time with my children. But spring though. We tend to get our best weather here in the UK in spring. It's a glorious sunny day today. It's absolutely beautiful. I've had to actually put a filter on my window to keep this glorious sunshine out. There's not a cloud in the sky. There hasn't been one all week. It's making me feel ready to start with all the springtime products. So I'm going to be sharing my top 10 spring products with you today. Now, here's a quick disclaimer. I just love to throw a disclaimer in, just for the sake of it, just for the heck of it. You should do whatever you want. Just because these are the products I enjoy, or these are the things that I'm kind of drawn to use in spring. If you want to do grungy in spring, if you want to do pinks in spring, if you want to do greens in spring, if you like to go all out full glam in spring, nothing wrong with that. You do you. These products are very much what I lean towards and what I like in spring. Doesn't mean that you can only wear these colors or you can only do this type of makeup in spring. It's just what I like. It's just my jam. You know, it's just how I like to roll. But spring to me conjures up like lovely, pretty, soft colors, things like yellow, things like orange, things like coral. Those types of colors are what tickle my pickle in spring, and I get excited and I just reach for all the time in spring. It's also warm and pleasant here. There's a nice breeze. It's probably in the 20s as far as the temperature. I'm not in my 20s. Don't get confused. I know it's hard to tell, but it's a nice it's not super hot, so you don't have to start, you know, not wearing makeup because it's just going to melt straight off your face, but it is warming up. It's getting more pleasant. The days are getting longer, and so that's why these are the type of products that I tend to reach for in the spring months. So enough waffling on about useless information. Let's get into the products, shall we? So let's start off with my favorite springtime foundation. I mean, it's just my favorite every time foundation, but it is the Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate. It's the foundation that I have on today, and it just, if I didn't love it enough in winter, in spring it really just comes into its own, because one, this says spring skin to me in a bottle. It's a medium natural coverage. It's glowy, but it's not shiny. It's not so hot here in spring that I need to start setting foundation or not wearing it or anything like that. But it does warm up, and I need something that wears nicely but looks fresh and spring-like, like a little lamb in the field, bouncing along. What were we talking about? But it also has SPF 50 in it, which usually irks me. to my core because I don't want the bounce back. I don't want the stress of it. Okay, I don't want the concern of having a crazy flashback Mary moment. But in summer, I don't rely on this, don't get me wrong, don't panic. I still wear SPF on its own underneath the foundation, but more is more when it comes to SPF, and the fact this has a big whack of it in there certainly can't hurt. Well, it can hurt if you're taking a flash photo, but the rest of the time, it's got to be a bonus, hasn't it? So yeah. Springtime, I mean every time, but especially springtime. Now, another complexion base product, bit of a completely different ilk, if you will, is the By Terry CC Serum. This is the shade Sunny Flash. I've banged on about this for years. This is when this week, in fact, was the first week I started pulling this bad boy out. I don't use this in autumn, whatever the purpose of autumn is, and I certainly don't use it in winter. This gets pulled out in spring and it gets used all through spring and summer, and then it goes back in the drawer for the season of which we have no interest. This is, I don't even know how to describe it. It does have some lovely hydrating skincare qualities to it, but for me, what this does is it just gives me a bit of an evening to the skin and a gorgeous finish. So you can see how much fairer my hand is than like where I've applied that product. As soon as spring hits, I start catching the sun. My skin tone like changes very, very quickly in spring. As soon as the sun's out and I'm able to sort of go about my day without a coat on, my chest, my arms, my shoulders start to pick up colour really, really quickly. And before you know it, I'm having to change my foundation shade. But because I use so much SPF on my face stays really fair. So there's a big difference quite quickly between my face and my body. And this just helps me even everything up. It's really not got much coverage. Well, it hasn't got any coverage, in fact. But what it does do is it just evens things out beautifully. One, it kind of gives me a balance between my face, my much lighter face, and my body once it starts to catch the sun. Two, it tones down redness. I get very red when I'm hot. I have a lot of redness in my skin and my face. When I get hot, I am like a beetroot. Very much so. Very concerning for some people. So if it's been hot during the day and I have no makeup on and I just want to whack something on, if I'm going out, if I'm going on the school run that's just going to tone down the redness, match up my bod and my face, this just does it. You can see it's not exactly, there's no coverage there or anything like that, but it's just kind of toning down like the glaring difference between my face and my body. It just evens everything up, it tones down the redness, and it gives you this gorgeous, fresh, luminous skin without looking like you've got anything on. You're just a glorious spring goddess, because that's exactly what we are. It smells delightful. You don't need very much. I've gone through like half a bottle and I've been using this for like a year and a half, I think, maybe even longer. It's probably very much expired, but we care not about that round here. So speaking of the sun and like warming up the skin and me catching some sun and my skin tone starting to deepen up in spring, what I like to do is to start using a more red bronzer. In the winter, when I am at my fairest, I tend to use a more sort of traditional warm tone bronzer because that kind of mimics my skin tone a bit more. Whereas in the spring and summer, as my skin starts to catch a tan, my skin tans more red. So that's how I like to mimic that kind of red undertone to my tanned skin in my bronzer. So I switch up to the Victoria Beckham shade number 4. So at the moment I use 3, or I use various other lighter, more traditional warm tone bronzer. In spring and summer, as my skin starts to catch the sun, I like to switch to this because it's such a great natural red tone bronzer. You can see there it's really got a perfect, very natural, very like this is exactly like the shade that my skin takes on in summer when I catch a tan, and it's just perfect for keeping that really natural, mimicking like how my skin catches the sun bronzer effect. It's really pulls, you can really see that it's more red than any other bronzer I've tried, which is why I love it so much, because it's really very close to my natural tan, which is what I like to mimic with my bronzer. I love this bronzer all year round, but this shade is what I live for in spring and summer. So let's talk about the eyeshadow palette that I feel like is the most spring perfect. Okay, let me just show you. If that does not say spring to you, then we just have a different opinion, okay? And that's fine. That's allowed. But to me, I see this and it screams spring to me. This is, by the way, the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Instant Eye Look in a palette. Is that the full name? I mean, who came up with that? My camera hates this palette because it's so like mirrored and it drives it bonkers. But you can see there, I mean, that is just screaming spring to me. Look at those. Obviously very, very warm, but like peachy, some corals in there. It's just, this is like very natural, everyday go-to pretty spring colour to me. This is like, I love this eyeshadow palette. I think it's so gorgeous, but it screams spring because it's all the things that I think of when I think of spring. I think of light, fresh, feminine, pretty, peachy coral pinks. That's what I think of, and that's literally exactly what this is. It's very easy to work with, very soft and pretty and understated, and just, it's pretty. It's pretty personified, spring, pretty, fresh, feminine inner eyeshadow palette. A bit aggressive. Very spring of me. So speaking of like what personifies spring, which we have been this whole time, hello. Peachy, glowy cheeks. Tell me that peachy, corally, glowy cheeks are not like perfect for spring. Come on. Come on, they are, aren't they? Don't give me any funny business today, all right? Nars Orgasm X. I mean, just look at it. Look at it. Spring in a blush is what it is. I love a bit of, I mean, I love glow all year round. I'm not going to lie to you. We know I love glow in winter and autumn and summer and spring. But in spring, a glowy peachy cheek just becomes like my personality. It's just what we do in spring around here. It's such a pretty, glorious blush, this, and it's so luminous. You don't need highlighter. I mean, of course, I'm still going to use it, but you don't need to. Look at that shine. Glorious, glorious. Absolutely a beautiful blush. Looks quite terrifying for some people in the pan. It is a very rich looking blush. And don't get me wrong, if you have a deeper skin tone, this will tickle your pickle. It will give what you need it to give. But when you blend it out, I feel like the glow, the luminosity really comes out when you blend this out and you start to get, it's got sort of a golden pearl in there that starts to show through much more as you blend this onto the skin and really buff this into the cheeks. It gets glowier and glowier and the shine is just stunning. It doesn't look like sparkly or shimmery. It just looks, I don't know why I'm doing this as if I have it on today. I don't, so that's not helpful. But it is very similar to this blush. We're going to talk about it. Don't worry, we're getting onto this one next. But this is just a gorgeous, everyday, use as much or little. You can get a very soft wash of coral out of here, or you can really get a punch of blush right in the face, if that's your thing. So now let's talk about the blush I actually have on my face, you useless woman. And it is the Just a Pinch Extra Dimension blush from MAC. Now you can have whatever colour of this blush you enjoy, but these blushes, so I have Cheeky Bits, pardon, suits you, sir. I have Cheeky Bits and I have Just a Pinch. These are pretty much the only two I kept in my collection. When I was having a clear out, I did a declutter of my blush drawer. It's on my channel, presumably. I didn't just make it for fun. But I thought about decluttering all of these extra dimensions just because I wasn't using them and I had loads. And during that process, I sort of put them in my halfway house to think about it before they actually left forever. And thank goodness I did, because they went from being like almost decluttered to both living in my top drawer. What a turn up for the books. Who would have thought it? But this is the issue when you have all of these products and so much makeup, is you actually forget that things are good, that some of the things that you haven't used for a while are amazing. And so I rediscovered these and fell back in love. If, like me, you don't like creams because of the process and you find them tricky to work with, or you just don't like how they wear or the fact they pick up product underneath and you have all these different issues with creams, but you like the idea of like the cream finish, the glowy dewiness of a cream that a powder can't give you, get involved. These are as close to like getting the finish of a cream, but being a powder and more convenient and easier for those of us like myself who hate a cream. They are so shiny. They are like highlights. This extra dimension, they're just full of luminosity. But when you buff these into the skin, it doesn't look like shimmer or glitter. It's just more and more glow. So this is what I have on my cheek here today. Zoom in for goodness sake. Got to give the people what they want. So obviously I do have highlighter on, but the majority of what's on my cheek is what is just a pinch. Cheeky bits is this one up here, the darker, more sort of corally shade. Just a pinch is a very subtle peach, but it's just, I built this up a lot on the skin today. It's just the ultimate glowy peachy blush. It just gives so much sheen. You see that, how shiny that is. It almost looks like a cream. They're just so pretty. There are lots of colours of these. I think they're so underrated. I think MAC these days is quite underrated. They still have some great products, but these are one of their best, and I don't see many people talking about them, but they are great, especially if you want a lot of glow, a very glowy cheek, but you don't like creams. These are definitely worth a try. Like I said, lots of colours available, but whatever colour floats your boat, works for your skin tone. Fairly precious. If you have a very fair skin tone, is a slightly lighter version of Just a Pinch, and it's just as beautiful. Pardon the pun. I mean, was it a pun? Barely. So another glorious Charlotte Tilbury spring product. It's the Nudegasm quad, shall we call this? I mean, there's 4 things, so I guess we should. This is 2 contour powders, a blush and a highlight. And does this not scream spring? I mean, I guess the spring element is coming from this blush, which very much is along the same lines of the blushes I've spoken about. But this one has a bit of a bronzy quality to it. Again, it's Charlotte Tilbury. It's a very like highlight blush hybrid. You can definitely again wear this blush and not need highlight, but as there's one in there, you might as well whack that on as well, mightn't you? Very, very glowy Charlotte Tilbury skin, this palette. And then you've got the contour powders in there as well. I don't really use the lighter one. This is the darker one. You can see it's a nice cool color. The light one I sometimes use on my nose, or I'll just mix the 2 together, and that works perfectly as well. I've had this palette for, what is it, like a year since this came out. Obsessed with it. I absolutely love all 4 products. It just overall, you can use this on eyes and cheeks, and it's going to give you that Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like Charlotte Tilbury is quite a spring brand to me. That all those things are the ways that I describe spring makeup and what it means to me. That fresh, juicy, youthful, pretty, soft, feminine. All of those things can be said about the Charlotte Tilbury brand in general, which is why, you know, we've got a few products from the brand here today. This is like a spring, perfect spring cheek product. I just think this is just gorgeous. It works very nicely on my sort of winter, spring skin tone. Once we get into summer, it's going to be much more subtle on me, but I can still use the blush and the contour and the highlight as well. It's just going to be a bit brighter. But definitely like the tones that I reach for in spring. Again, especially that blush. It just has that peachy quality, but it also says a bit bronzy, a bit holiday for me. And again, we typically will have a holiday in spring. So again, spring makeup means traveling, and this is perfect for travel. Like, I don't really want to put a lot of makeup on when I'm on holiday with my family. I don't want to be spending 2 hours getting ready. I'll whack a bit of, you know, tinted moisturizer, this on cheeks and eyes, and of course mascara, and I'm good to go. So 2 lip products that I just live for in spring, and I'm wearing one of them as we speak, and this one is the Lisa Eldridge what's it called? I love to just make names up, but I should tell you the actual names. It's probably more helpful. Atomic Cherry is the name of this one. Now, any of these luxuriously lucent lippies count in this category. I was going to talk about Go Lightly today, but we just don't know if Go Lightly is ever coming back. That is probably my ultimate spring lip colour, to be honest, but whether we'll see it again, whether you'll ever be able to get your hands on it again from Lisa Eldridge, we don't know. We hope. We've heard rumours, but we don't know for a fact. Whereas Atomic Cherry, I'm pretty confident will be back maybe next month. on sale. So I know you'll be able to get this one if you so choose to. The thing I love about these is that they're so easygoing. They're so comfortable. And you can just add as much or as little colour as you want. You can sort of really sheer these out and use these very sheerly, or you can build it up and get quite a pop of colour as I just did, but they always stay really wearable. They're never so bright that they're intimidating or it feels a bit much. In spring, I feel like we want to start bringing in these types of colours, but maybe we want them to be a little more muted, a little, you know, a step towards a bright without being too scary. These are it. They're very easy to wear because you can wear them, as I said, without building them up and just have a little juicy, sheer orange to the lips, never hurt anybody. Or you can keep building them up and have a bit more of a vibrant pop of colour for spring. These lipsticks are just perfect for spring because they're so flexible, they're so understated but pretty and comfortable and easy to wear, but with some beautiful colour as well. Another lipstick, again, this formula, pick a colour, they're all perfect for spring and they're all glorious, but the new Dior Addict shiny, hydrating, whatever these are called, lipsticks that I'm just obsessed with recently. I think my favourite like spring shade is Mimirose. This is one that I didn't pick up originally, but I went back for once I knew what I was dealing with, and oh, she's just so soft and pretty. And this formula, again, a super hydrating, juicy, shiny lip. I mean, again, I love it all year round, but in spring, let me just swatch these next to each other. It's literally what I live for in spring. You can see they're kind of similar. The Atomic Cherry is a bit brighter, the Mimirose a bit more subtle. Both very soft, feminine, pretty colours for spring. And finally, I thought I would throw in a spring fragrance because why the devil wouldn't you? And it's Armani's Magenta Tanzanite. Is it my newest fragrance? It's not my newest fragrance. A pretty new fragrance to me, and this just really screams spring to me. I think, you know, a lot of my fragrances I can't really wear in summer because they're just going to become too much, too overpowering, too cloying, just too maybe sweet. And in summer, as your skin heats up, it's all just a lot, you know, it's too much. In spring, that starts to, you know, your skin starts to warm up. There starts to be some sunny days, but it's not so much that you can't wear any of your favorite fragrances immediately. And I'm not one to really reach for florals just because it's spring, because they're just not really my thing. Another poem for free. You're welcome. The thing about Magenta Tanzanite is it's a little lighter and fresher than my typical super, you know, spicy, musky, tobacco-y scents that I live for in winter and autumn that are easier to wear in those seasons than in the warmer months. But it's still got this, this spicy, sensuous, sexy warmth to it, so you can still get all of that stuff, the good stuff that you love in fragrance, but it's just got this lighter, more wearable, daytime, warmer months quality to it, and it's not such a huge sillage bomb as some of my other fragrances. So you will still get wafts of this, other people will be able to smell it, but you're not fully attacking their noses. You know, you're not making anyone have a sneezing fit in the playground or anything like that. It's inoffensive. It stays, you know, a couple of feet from you in a little bubble around you of glorious, divine, I could just smell this all day. Oh, my days. It's glorious, absolutely gorgeous, and it's beautiful, and it's warming, and it's sensuous, and it's a little spicy, but in a fresher, lighter, spring appropriate type of way. And this bottle, I mean, forget about it. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 favourite products for spring. Please go and check out Gemma's video. I'm going to do that right now and see what she has chosen to share with us about her favourite products for spring. Can't wait to find out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye, 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 bye.